Ace Podcast.
Hey guys, we're actually gonna do The Night Evelyn Came Out of the Grave tonight.
What a twist!
Blood and Black Rum Podcast presents The Night Evelyn Came Out of the Grave. Hey guys, welcome back to the Blood and Black Rum Podcast. I'm Ryan from moonsdeadworld.net. I'm joined with my co-host Martin.
How's it going?
And we are coming to you with The Night Evelyn Came Out of the Grave. We poked a little bit of fun at ourselves in the intro to this podcast episode because we promised that we would do this episode a couple weeks ago.
Almost a month.
Yep. And then we kind of had it put off. We had to skip a part of it because Martin was sick. Then we did, I think we did Leprechaun 2 because it was St. Patty's Day. So, yeah, we postponed it a little bit, but we're back with it. When we say we're going to do something, we're going to do it.
God damn it.
So we've been doing a lot of horror movies of late. Like, this is our third in a row. It's not normally the case for us because we kind of, like, jump back and forth.
Is Leprechaun 2 really a horror movie?
Yeah, it is considered a horror movie, a horror comedy, but... Yeah, I mean, I know that you wouldn't necessarily...
Such a loose use of the word.
It is, yeah, but it's in the same way that you would classify, like, Shaun of the Dead as a horror movie, but it's also a comedy.
That actually has some legitimate creepy parts in it, though.
Yeah, the horror doesn't necessarily mean that it's creepy. It can just be based on a monster or something. That's what Leprechaun 2 is based on a monster. Mythological figure. I consider it a horror movie. May not be scary to you or anybody for that matter, but it's a horror movie. But this, The Night Evelyn Came Out of the Grave, or as I like to refer to it, La Noche Evelyn Uski Dalla Tomba, because I just like that.
Or tits.
Yeah. I just
They should just call it tits.
They should.
Redhead. Oh, no, this one differentiates from other giallos. It's redheaded tits specifically.
That's right. One. Yeah. Well, I like that Italian name this is its original name, but The Night Evelyn Came Out of the Grave is also intriguing in its own way.
It's a mouthful. It
is a mouthful, but that's not uncommon for most Italian giallo films.
Why not? Because What Have You Done?
What Have You Done? Solange is also a mouthful. Solange doesn't even come into the film until the end of the film, so
it's an awkward name.
And it is,
at least for us.
American people. Yeah. Solange, not really that common. Your Vice is a locked room, and only I have the key. There's another one.
That sounds like an emo band.
Well,
that sounds like a band that would have been noodling away listening to American football back in 2002, and we got this.
But giallos have a couple I tend to enjoy their titles. I think they're intriguing because they're not just things like The Burning.
No, that's true.
The Wick, you know what I mean? Like the Haunting.
You know, it's funny that you bring that up because a lot of the bands I like have the and something, and a friend of mine in college did point out
right.
If there's a band that has the word the in front of it, you probably like them.
Exactly. That does tend to bother me as well. There's a band that's called Stars. And they do make some good indie music, but I never want to listen to them because it's you fucking named yourself Stars. This the most unintriguing name ever. So, and I am drawn to that stuff. I like the Tony Danza tap dance extravaganza. I was drawn to it because of the name, and it's just.
So you would like a band like Giraffes?
I like Giraffes. Math rock, yeah, absolutely. I do like giraffe. Yeah, but it's not giraffes. It's giraffes ?
No,
giraffe
no.
sex. Yeah,
I know. That's why I said giraffes.
Yeah,
but I've never listened. I just know we were one night again going back to college. One night we were looking up weird band names. This is on that same discussion that day, and that was the one we stumbled across. Mm-hmm. So it was ooh, wow.
I do like giraffes. It's funny. But in true giallo fashion, The Night Evelyn Came Out of the Grave is pretty reminiscent of a lot of other giallo films, but at the same time, it's also very different. And back in our other podcast when we did What Have You Done to Solange, we talked about how some people call What Have You Done to Solange like a very different film in the giallo series. And if you remember, I said I don't really think it's that different. In terms of what happens and the ideas and themes that occur in that film, it's really not that much different from any other giallo film that you may be able to think of. Like, there's a killer, he's got black gloves. You don't get to see from that perspective. There's a secret you don't know about till the end. The Night Evelyn Came Out of the Grave, I think particularly, is a very different style of giallo film from those others.
Well, seeing as right now this is my third giallo film,
right?
Because the other two we've reviewed, Tenebrae included.
Yep.
I will say, after I saw Solange, comparing it to Tenebrae, I thought it had like a lot of the same undercurrents and themes and styles that went along with Tenebrae. And I would say the same thing with this. I think this film is the same too. It has a lot of the same like cinematography style,
yes.
same themes, same like overarching plots. But I will say the difference in this one compared to the other two, though I wouldn't say like it's different enough to where you would separate it from probably the genre as a whole. And again, this is me speaking as the layperson here. It's the supernatural tinge to it, and the Gothic tinge to it is what makes it different. And like I said, I wouldn't consider that making it like, oh, it's like an anti-giallo, or it's it's a giallo, but then it's adding something else.
Absolutely,
onto it.
Like this is very like a combination film. It's a giallo, but it's also sort of like a Hammer horror Gothic style film. Like this would not be out of place in Hammer's oeuvre as well.
If Hammer did like a whodunit.
Right, exactly. It's not really that out of place for them either. So the director, Emilio Miraglia, who has done quite a few styles of film in the giallo style, I should say, has done films in the giallo style. He is melding those two things, like Gothic romance and eroticism for one thing, and giallo, and that's sort of eroticism as well, into a story that also combines supernaturality in it. Like, that's not very common for either of those two things. Like a general Gothic murder mystery in a castle, or a giallo film. They don't really mix those ghostly things.
It's a dark Italian version of Scooby-Doo.
Yeah, pretty much. And what's interesting is that Emilio Miraglia, he has often done a lot of films. He has done films that are about like women and stronger female characters. Like this one focuses mostly on a woman figure. That is the main crux of the film. And actually, it's interesting because this was released by Arrow Video in a Killer Dames collection, which has two Emilio Miraglia films, and the other one's The Red Queen Kills 7 Times. Talk about a mouthful. There's another one that is pretty much a mouthful, but so it's certainly Miraglia's style, I guess I would say. And if you haven't heard me talk about this film before, like when we were covering other episodes and we kind of talked about how we were going to do The Night Evelyn Came Out of the Grave, I do really like this film a lot. I saw it probably 5 or 6 years ago, and I was really intrigued by it. And actually, I was on a huge giallo kick at the time, and I really liked it. I definitely didn't see it in this quality, because Arrow has done a really good job restoring this film to a nice, very colorful, vibrant film. But it was definitely intriguing at the time, and I still really, really enjoy watching it, even though, which we'll get into a little bit later, I can certainly see why a lot of people would not like this film, like, at all, which we can get into in a little bit. First, though, I want to take a break before we talk about The Night Evelyn Came Out of the Grave in detail to talk about what we're drinking today, because we're finishing up the Guinness what was that called? Irish pack or something like that? Like, I don't know. They're always Irish, but
Yeah,
it's like a Guinness specialty pack.
like just like it's our mix. Here's a mix.
Yeah,
of different shit.
here's a mixed one. And in previous episodes, we had covered their experimental porters, ones that they don't generally do at all.
At least around here.
Yeah, I've never seen them before.
I've never heard of them until this year.
Yeah, so we did the two porters that they had in the previous episode, and before that, we did just the regular straight Guinness, which we didn't have super kind things to say about it. But today we have the Guinness Foreign Extra. In last episode, we talked a little bit about our experience with the Foreign Extra. We've had it. I haven't had it in quite a while. I don't know about you.
It's been like 5-6 years.
Yeah, it's been a while. But we had remembered that we really enjoyed it at that time when we had it. I actually remember having it at your house one time. That may have been the first time I had it. And I really enjoyed it at that time. And cracking into it today, I gotta say that it brought back a flood of nostalgic memories, and I really do enjoy this.
This is a great beer. This is a great stout.
It is.
This, as you said, this is what Guinness should just be.
Like, every time you get a Guinness, this is what it should be.
Yeah. Not even the extra stout, which is in the pack, which I do... Well, I remember when I first... And we haven't reviewed the extra stout. Maybe when, sometime down the road we will, but... The extra stout, I remember liking it, but then after coming back to it a couple times, I'm like,
it's okay.
It's okay, but this is...
The Foreign Extra is really... It's got a nice malty bitterness to it, but it's also got a nice full body, creamy, great mouthfeel. I would say that, like we said before with the regular Guinness, that is very flat tasting. It doesn't have much of a flavor at all. It's kind of just there, very I don't know, it doesn't really stand out.
A Bud Light of stout.
Yeah, there's nothing that stands out about it. It's not very flavorful. Well, the Foreign Extra is like the complete opposite of that. It's got a heavy flavor profile to it. I really like it.
And it's very drinkable too. It's not, just because it's got a nice maltiness, coffee and toffee undertones to it, which are there, but they're not very strong.
No.
But it's nice, and again, the mouthfeel on it's very good. It is not. You're not going to come away with this thinking it's as creamy as it gets because it doesn't have the nitro with it.
No, it's not nitro. Yeah.
But it does have a certain creaminess to it, which makes it a very drinkable, enjoyable stout.
Yeah, I would absolutely just buy a 12-pack of this.
They don't, unfortunately.
I know they don't make it.
I think they only have. I've only ever seen it in the 4-pack.
4-packs, yeah.
Which is
I would absolutely buy a 12-pack of this in place of regular Guinness.
Yeah, no, I would too.
Or if it was on tap, absolutely.
I can only imagine how wonderful it'd be on tap.
I know.
Be like, oh, thank you for.
Speaking of Guinness on tap, did you see Paul Ryan getting a whole bunch of shit for his pour of Guinness when he on St. Patrick's Day?
No, I did not. I didn't even know he would bother.
Yeah, they did a little
in between taking away poor people's money and
giving a PowerPoint presentation about terrible healthcare
and CrossFit.
He had
Guinness is, now I think about it, it's kind of high in calories. He'd have to work extra hard.
He probably, that's the thing. The Guinness, so he had a Guinness on St. Patty's Day, and he held it up, normal, look across the horizon sort of thing.
Is there any Irish people really to play to that base in Wisconsin?
Yeah, I don't know.
I mean, I don't know if there is really.
Yeah.
It's not like he's from Boston, or it's Ben Affleck sitting there. Come on, you bastard!
But the biggest thing with that is that it wasn't a full pint. Really, it looked very it wasn't to the brim whatsoever, and also it had a poor head on it. And people really called him out for that. And I realized that Paul Ryan did not pour that beer. Someone else did, and it probably had been sitting around.
Of course, he's not gonna bother with that. He's above pouring his own.
Well, then, you know what? People referred to Obama, who they said did the Guinness right. They showed pictures of him with a nice foamy mustache and, celebrating in the bars, going behind the bar to see how a bartender would appropriately pour the Guinness. And really, they should have just learned from Conan. Because he knows the correct way to have a Guinness.
He knows how to steal his Guinness.
That's right. It's just interesting. I wanted to bring that up because we've been covering Guinness in the previous 2 episodes. And thought it was interesting. We should title these the Guinness series. We normally title them by movies, but this is actually the Guinness series.
All right, let's not do that.
We've been covering all 4 of the Guinnesses in this pack. So, anything else that you've been having lately that you want to talk about for beer?
Just this Saranac Pale Ale 2.
Pale Ale Squared.
Wow.
You got to say it correctly.
Oh, I didn't know that's what they were going for.
Yeah, they're going for like squared because it's got like a additional.
No, I didn't read. It's hop to be squared on the label. Ugh. So
That's right.
It's just like an IPA.
What do you... Yeah, I mean, basically, I've had a couple of them. I mean, they don't really stand out to me as, like... I mean, I enjoy Saranac's Pale Ale. I think it's a really good Pale Ale.
It's a good... it's not too overwhelming.
Right. I think that this, now, Pale Ale Squared is basically like them doubling down, making it into an IPA. It's really not much... there's nothing, I would probably prefer just a regular Pale Ale.
No, I would too. All I'm getting from this is it's hoppier on the front, but it's got like a weird watery taste at the
Here, you want to try the one and then the squared?
Yeah.
Just give them a go.
But yeah, that's what
taste
that's like what I'm getting is like off the first. Yeah, hold on.
Taste testing.
So I just took a sip of the regular Saranac Pale Ale. It's one of my favorite pale ales, actually. Mm-hmm. I think we've said that 1,000 times on here, but it's got like a nice little slight malty sweetness to it, and then nice hoppiness, balanced perfectly. It's what I would like from from a pale ale.
Yeah,
because we've said before on here, too many pale ales that have been coming out are just way too
overly hopped. Yeah.
Overly hopped, and it's what's the point? Like, even though I like Sierra Nevada's pale ale, it's not, to me, it's not pale ale. It's because it's just so damn hoppy.
Yeah. Now he's trying the Pale Ale Squared.
Yeah, it's definitely got more of a hoppy bitterness to it. That I would say is more like an IPA, and you don't really get a malt sweetness from it. You get like kind of, like I said, like a wateriness to the back end. So it's kind of like hops and then like crisp water.
Yeah.
So it's like a weird. Like an IPA, but it's kind of diluted.
Yeah.
So it's like it's an IPA, but we like cut it with water to like dilute it a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, I wasn't super impressed with it. I think that it was. I mean, it's okay. I don't know. I think I would rather just have their
legacy or the pale ale.
legacy or the Pale Ale. I mean, I don't really know the reasoning behind the Pale Ale Squared. It's nothing. It's nothing to write home about.
Doesn't say in here what hops they use for this.
Yeah, I'm not even sure. There's a label at the top, but I don't think they actually say.
It just says tropical fruit.
Yeah.
So I was gonna say, what's the IBU difference on it?
Probably, do they list IBUs on theirs?
They do on the Squared. The Squared's 45. I don't think it doesn't say on the Pale Ale.
So, I mean, even that though, the IBUs aren't really that high on the Pale Ale Squared. Interesting.
It makes me wonder why they put the Pale Ale Squared in the Irish pack.
Yeah, it's kind of strange, yeah.
Because they had an Irish-style lager, an Irish dry stout, and what was the last one?
Irish Red Ale.
Irish Red Ale.
Yeah, so it is a weird choice.
Well,
maybe they just wanted to put it in there as like their new beer. And
yeah, put something hoppy in there. God forbid.
All right, so let's move on to Night Evelyn Came Out of the Grave, because I do have quite a bit to say about it. You probably do too. It's the first time seeing it. Do you want to start things off? What'd you think?
Movie poster has nothing to do with this film.
No, you're absolutely right. It really does not. The only thing that it really does is that it's the corpse of Evelyn with the red hair. That's pretty much it. That dude that it's showing?
Looks nothing.
Who is that? That guy's not in this film.
I do like it. I think it is like a cool. Like,
it's an eye-catching,
classic 70s, type of poster. And I just find it fun. I love it when you see like movie posters that have like absolutely nothing to do with what the film, with the film actually does or has.
I honestly think that may be an American poster for it.
Probably.
I'm not sure. I think it probably got a different poster in Italian. Yeah, so like there's one from the Italian poster, which actually makes sense.
Yeah.
Straight from the film itself. And I think, yeah, that poster, I believe, was definitely an Americanized poster for it. That was put on like home video releases and stuff like that. Because yeah, you can see like, look at this horrible DVD release of this film. A very, very
that
poor
font is
DVD.
Yeah. Oh my god, that
very,
font,
very poor DVD release.
That font screams this movie's destined to be on Mystery Science Theater 3000.
And here's another one that really does correspond to the film itself. I believe that is like an American version of like this film's poster. I mean, it stands out, but yeah, it definitely does not seem like it has anything to do with the film whatsoever. But
looks like you're in for like a zombie fight, like
yeah,
like slasher movie.
Yeah, that's true. It does, yeah. But otherwise, about the film itself? What'd you think?
It was okay.
Yeah.
I think my main gripe with it was just something we're going to talk about later. Something we're saving for the tail end. But,
yes. Yeah.
Because I think that's where like my main problems with the film are going to be. But I'll say I think it was, again, not being somebody very well versed in the realm of giallos, I thought it was, I did think it was entertaining, and not a bad film. But I do think this is a film that's long in the tooth.
Yeah.
It's almost 2 hours long, not like an hour and 45 minutes. I think there's about 20 minutes of this film you could cut.
Yeah.
And I think that's gonna kind of hamper this film, especially if you're somebody who doesn't really, doesn't want bullshit from your films, because the pacing in this film it's one of the problems of it. I think at the beginning, the first 2/3 of this film were very slow.
Yeah.
And then that last act is just kind of like, bam.
Yeah, it's really, it really rushes to the ending.
Which is the same thing that I said, too, about when we watched What Have You Done to Solange, because it's okay. It's building and building, it's slow and plotting, which I think, Solange, as a overall, did it a little, better than this film. But, again, it's like slow and building, and all of a sudden, when you get to the third act, it's like, it just goes. It goes from 0 to 60 and just like that.
Yeah.
I think what it could use overall as a film is just like just better if it cuts out some of like the bullshit that happens in this film with like its put in air quotes fucking character development and kind of like side story. I think it would, if you streamlined it a little bit more, it'd make it more enjoyable.
The length and the pacing was what I was going to bring up when I said that I can totally see why some people just would not like this film at all. Because you're right, the first 2/3 are absolutely slow. Very plotting, very almost rhythmic in the way that they occur, like they're very repetitive. So in those opening scenes, you get a scene of our main character, Alan. Lord, he's basically the inheritor of a castle, and he's very much missing his wife Evelyn, who recently passed away. He can't really get over it, and also he kind of blames himself because he forced her into a pregnancy, and she died because of a pregnancy that he thinks was the cause of her death. And so he has been going out on the town, finding these redheaded ladies, and then bringing them back to his castle, and pretty much having them reenact what he did with, like, his wife's style, like having her put on boots, and then kind of torturing them for no reason other than the fact that he's like upset with himself and with Evelyn because he thinks that she was having an affair on the side, which he keeps having flashbacks to.
Which, Jesus Christ. The flashback of Evelyn running through the garden. It doesn't even look like a garden. I don't even feel like they're using the word garden because the way she's running into how like she runs is supposed to make a metaphor for like Garden of Eden.
Yes, exactly. And her name's Evelyn,
yeah,
so she's Eve.
Yeah. But like just that whole sequence of like her running naked into the garden into her mysterious potential lover, and the music that plays that like,
Yeah.
it's literally like watching a Sergio Leone like style flashback with an Ennio Morricone score. Like like I said with Solange, mainly because I think they do something like that in Solange too, right?
Yeah,
have like
some sort of flashbacks like that. Yeah,
like a flashback like that that's kind of paced and like set up the same way. It reminds me of like this. And I don't think Duck You Sucker is the first one to do it, but that's like one of the first like Italian films that like I think of when I think of that kind of like flashback.
Yeah.
So anytime I see that, all I can think of is just like, oh, we got got to have like the lens kind of fogged up so it gives it like this like dreamlike quality, and you got to have them like running and it's like a distant memory, and then you got to have this quiet but somber like operatic angelic voice calling and as the flashback. It's not I'm not saying there's a problem in this movie, but it's just like something like
yeah,
anytime I see something like that, it just like makes me think back to like,
it's a common trope in these styles of film, especially when the past is so important. Like this is the second giallo that we've covered. Well, really all of them. Tenebrae too.
Yeah.
Where the past has a huge impact on what we're seeing in the film, because in this case, our main character, Alan, just cannot get over that past. He can't get over the fact that Evelyn is gone, that she may have cheated on him, and it makes him fly into a violent rage almost for, whenever he's reminded of it. So that past is really an important aspect of the film and where it goes from there with its plot. But I totally understand how some people would think that The Night Evelyn Came Out of the Grave is a super slow film. And I'll agree, it is super slow when you're watching it and you're just kind of thinking like, why am I seeing these repetitive scenes where Alan brings a woman back to the castle, he kind of tortures her, and then we kind of fade out to black. Learn about him being very upset about Evelyn, and then the same thing occurs again. Like,
it's not like those parts that I think necessarily bog down the film. Like there's more. It's more like just unnecessary like fluff scenes. Like the first part where he's taking that first woman home and they're in the car and you just see them drive and they pull over to have like a 5-minute little conversation of just like, oh, why are we stopping the car? Well, I can't smoke and drive. Oh, okay. And he like tugs on her hair like, oh, what the fuck you do that for, creep? And he's like, oh, I thought it was a wig. And she's like, no.
Yeah.
And they just have a conversation for 5 minutes about discussing giving money to it. It doesn't need to be that long. That doesn't even need to be there. You know?
There are a few scenes like that. A lot of conversations between the characters.
It doesn't add like character depth to Alan.
No,
to show his like neurosis or anything like that. It's just there.
Those parts don't, but I do feel like some of it is necessary, especially the relationships that he has with his cousin, and the one like how he's affected in certain ways by like Evelyn's appearance, and also just showing how he does have some sort of like neuroses that causes him to just, whenever he even thinks about Evelyn, you're almost wondering like, is he really going crazy where these occurrences appear? Like, does Evelyn really appear to him? Is she really a ghost within the castle? Is she actually there at all, or is it some sort of like figment? Yeah, that everyone else knows is like not real, but Alan just cannot get over it. I think that some of that stuff is really necessary. I think it does need that grounding.
Well, again, I don't think like bits like that are what bog down the page. Again, it's little just like detours that just detour for the sake of detouring. I don't mind, the conversations with like the cousin and whatnot, because it leads to somewhere. They go to, like, oh, that's how he gets to London. That's how he gets this idea.
Right.
That's how he gets that. Like I said, it's more like these just random, just side things that happen.
I mean, like meeting the foxes.
Yeah. Like, foxes. Why? I love animals. I love foxes. They're so yeah.
I would argue.
So I just bought them.
Yeah.
Why?
I do think
it's just like, again, it's there. Why? Well, someone can eventually someone can die there. And that's it.
I do, yeah, right. I think that is kind of leading up to, like, here are all these elements that will be important to the plot later on. But you're right, yeah. They're kind of shoehorned in, and it doesn't always feel authentic or realistic to the actual what's happening. Why do we need all these conversations to see later on that the foxes will be an important part of the murder and things like that. I absolutely agree. I think that in certain ways, the Night Evelyn Came Out of the Grave is super slow. I know you said you thought Solange did it better, but I do think that The Night Evelyn Came Out of the Grave is a little bit more interesting throughout, simply because it has a lot of crazy tendencies. It's kind of off the wall when you think about it. For one thing, it features a lot of naked women, and that's always a plus for me in my book. And
call it redhead tits.
That's right, and we see a lot of those different types of redheaded boobs throughout the film. You see the low armpit hanger, I said that they're the low hanging boobs that you can pinch in your armpits. We see those in the beginning. See some smaller boobs. You see some lengthy nipples. It has a wide abundance of beautiful naked women prancing around throughout the film, so that's never really a bad thing. But also, the craziness actually occurs because Miraglia melds those giallo and Gothic styles together. I love the atmosphere in The Night Evelyn Came Out of the Grave. I love the castle setting. I think it's really cool. Almost to the point where I wish they had explored these areas just a little bit more. Like the grounds around the castle, very intriguing. We do get a little bit of a idea of the landscape of it, but really, I think that it's almost too shadowed. Like, we don't see enough of how the grounds connect to the crypt, and then the other secret crypt that Alan has kept for his wife that no one else really knows about. Like, it's a secret crypt kept away from where Evelyn's supposed to be buried. I think that, I like the moodiness of that setting. How, there's a crypt right on premises. You can go over to it, check, you just lift up the tomb's cover and check it out and make sure she's still in there.
Got a gravekeeper.
Yeah. I mean, I love the moodiness of it. I like that Gothic style. I like all the candle lit areas, the ridiculous murals on all the walls. Absolutely outrageous.
Hired Michelangelo. It's like,
but
sit there and just ping it. Yeah.
I do love all that, and the gloomy nighttime scenes with all the rain and thunder. I think those are really good. I think it sets the mood for this film quite a bit. So I really enjoyed that part of it, and I also really do like how the film combines that supernatural aspect where we're seeing kind of ghostly phantom Evelyn popping up here and there, but also how it has those more giallo-leaning moments where we are seeing from the killer's point of view, and we're seeing a gloved man bringing a snake and having it bite someone on the back of the neck.
What a fucking elaborate, way to kill someone.
Yeah, I mean, when you think
especially when you're gonna end up burying the person.
Right, yeah.
Instead of just sneaking up and garroting them, I got this fucking black mamba snake I brought in from India to stealthily sneak up by behind this guy to nip him on the neck and have him overact for 2 minutes while he's writhing and retching.
Yeah, when you think about all those weird details within this film, it becomes a little bit more interesting. Like those scenes where it seems like things are really playing out slowly and there's not much happening. And then you think about this guy has been seducing women, bringing them back to his castle, and then forcing them to sit on his weird stirrups and whipping them, and they're okay with it. Or, like...
Well, they're getting paid. Cause
they are getting paid. That's true, but most women, I still wouldn't think that most women would...
Well, why the hell does he have a fucking, like, branding ironing down
yeah, exactly.
And somebody doesn't look at that like,
yeah,
I might want to leave. This isn't worth the 500.
This film has a lot of weird stuff going on like that. There's a crazy amount of blonde, curly-headed maids that all look exactly the same for no really good reason besides the fact that Alan cannot bear to see anybody that may have red hair on the premises because it could be Evelyn,
and his aunt is his fucking age.
Yeah,
and she's a paraplegic
and has a motorized wheelchair that is probably better than the wheelchairs we have now.
It's better than
that scoots along.
That's better than like a 4-wheeler.
That thing is able to get through mud and snow and sleet.
The recent blizzard wouldn't have stopped her. She wouldn't
it's
punting,
awesome.
Punting down the street.
I need one of those wheelchairs.
But yeah, no, like you're right. Like it's like weird little
the
things. The
sheer amount of weird things like that.
Why is that his aunt? They're the same age. Why is she there? Why is there 4 blonde maids? They all look the same. And it's just there because it's like
exactly.
Ooh, isn't this like
titillating?
Yeah, like ooh, isn't it mysterious?
Yeah, exactly. And people, you could really see that.
My doctor sucks at his job.
Yeah, exactly. That's the thing too. This film is all about making sure that you have a good mental health doctor because things can really go sideways fast. Because, like, you just gotta look at this, like...
Well, it'll be hard now with Paul Ryan's plan.
Right, well, yeah, it's true. But, like, you gotta take a look at, like, his doctor, Dr. Timberlane, who has been apparently following Alan throughout his... basically his life, who realizes he hasn't been right in a long time. Even before Evelyn died, he hasn't really been right.
See, you know what? I didn't even realize until, like, after kind of looking it up that, like, that whole intro of him trying to escape the asylum, that was before this movie. I thought it might have been like after watching this film and walking I thought that might have been maybe the end.
Yeah.
I mean, like,
that is a really weird.
Well, at least before like the actual ending, but like halfway through the third act, it's like so maybe like now like it's gonna end with like them putting him away. And maybe there's some twist that, it wasn't him. They got away and now he's, trapped in the asylum. So it may had a little red herring there, but it's like, nope, that was from the beginning,
I almost forgot about that scene because it really doesn't come up again.
It has no bearing.
Yeah,
again, you don't need to show him running around the premise. Yeah, that's 5 minutes of the intro, just him running around trying to escape the asylum, grunting and moaning before some orderlies catch him, and then it's like, roll credits, opening credits, and...
I mean, I think that yeah, like I said, this is a warning for anybody who's got a really bad doctor because Dr. Timberlane is horrible. And I think maybe that's the case because with the amount of weird things going on in The Night Evelyn Came Out of the Grave, you may or may not supposed to suspect him in some way. Like I don't know if that's intentional or if it's really just that there wasn't... They didn't pay much attention to how poorly they made this doctor look when Alan has like no control over his actions. He, at one point, just attempts to choke out his newly married wife, Gladys. And then there's another scene where he just smacks her around on a bridge. I mean, I think that's an important part of this too, is like the mental illness aspect of it, because the film is really trying to mess with the viewer's mind too. Like, you're not really supposed to know exactly where this is going or what is going on until the very end of the film. I think that is part of the reason why the film does have its pacing issues, because it's hesitant to show you all of that stuff that's going on. Like, it doesn't want to divulge its secrets, and so... There's no real red herrings in this film. But it's really hard to tell where it's going in general.
Yeah, no, so, like, what you're left with while watching this film is either it's all Alan's doing, or it's somebody else, but there's never enough evidence to like kind of point. Again, what I would say would point to, the only one I would say throughout this entire film that it would point to would be the doctor, just because he's a shitty doctor.
Yeah.
And that comes across
and it's almost like he's not doing his job on purpose.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Other than that, like when you get to the twist, it's like, oh, okay.
Yeah, I will agree that in general, there's not really enough clues to put together who could be doing this, except for one scene.
Which, by the way, also, if you're going to do like a whodunit and have a twist, you have to have clues that lead to certain directions. Again, red herrings lead to certain people. So if you're going to make that twist impactful, then like that's how it has meaning. Like, oh, the evidence was there, but I was like, it was subtly there, but then there was this other evidence I was looking at. If you have like barely no evidence and it's just kind of, and then all of a sudden like, it was him all along, then you're like, oh, okay. Then you feel cheated because it's like, how was I supposed to, figure that out?
I still think I like that is not apparent in this film at all. Like, you don't know where this is going. When I first watched this, I had no idea where it was going. It was like, okay, now he's killing women. Now he's not. Now he's married. He's okay. Oh, now he's going crazy. He's seeing, his wife everywhere. And his new wife is trying to figure out what the fuck's going on. She doesn't know what she married into.
Because they fucked and then they're like, and that was it. And then
they got married in 2 days.
Because his doctor said, hey, we know you're unbalanced. We know you're a little cuckoo, but you know what? You know what fix that? Being married. Get remarried. Lock down some pussy.
Yeah.
Don't have it on the side. You doing that side stuff, that's what's making you go crazy. Have it on lockdown. There you go. Well, again, terrible message. And like, then after he gets married, and like Glass, like, why is he have this portrait up, and why is this happening? He's like, oh yeah, he's kind of unstable.
Yeah. Doctor didn't warn before.
Yeah, didn't think about it. Just like,
yeah. I think that I do really like how you can't really tell where it's going. And
I was gonna say, you're gonna say the one scene that you said gives the hint.
Well,
to the end.
I mean, there's a scene where, there's a couple actually where Alan's cousin is kind of celebratory over nothing. And I think that's probably the only scene where you really get kind of a hint. It's not even really apparent, but it's kind of a hint towards the later.
Where he's in bed?
Yes. I mean, it's the only real hint. Actually, it's really the only one that we see that character alone, like not with Alan. You know what I mean? Like other scenes are him with Alan, him with a character.
But his whole motivation's stupid.
Yeah.
He was going to get he was the next inheritor anyway.
Well, this is okay. So I think the biggest thing and we're talking about Alan's cousin. I think the biggest thing with that,
Farley is his name, which, by the way, I don't think was ever brought up.
Farley, it was a little bit. Not.
I'll tell you right now, I don't like it when movies say a name like once or twice, and that, especially if it's in another language, say it once and that's it, and you're like, that guy, and you're like only going off like the relationship, like he's his cousin's brother's janitor. That's who that is.
Well, I think that the biggest motivation for Farley was that he was not going to inherit anything until Alan moved away to London, leaving the castle to him. However, that would not have left him any of the inheritance money. Now, though, Gladys gets all of the inheritance money because now Alan is in the mental asylum and he's married. It all goes to her. So,
no, it's because it's said when he gets everything. She just gets to live off the benefit of the estate. So, like he would own everything, but she gets to live there and still get to.
So it's still if it wasn't the case where if he had just moved off to London, you wouldn't have everything. You wouldn't have taken everything from Alan. You would only have like the estate part of it. You wouldn't have all the money.
It still doesn't make like a sense.
It's not. All it's really supposed to show is like, wow, look how fucking greedy this guy is.
And not only that, because he's the one that was sleeping with Evelyn too. Right. It's not like he was upset. Like he's
just an asshole. He just was trying to ruin Alan's life.
Which I guess we'll go into this now because it's gonna be hard dodging this topic while trying to explain. We watched this movie in the English dub, not the Italian dub. We tried for like 5 minutes, but again, it's an Arrow video. Their subtitles suck. Color's awful. Just said the same thing with Solange. Same thing here. You can't fucking read it, and with the backdrops that are present throughout the movie. So we watched the movie, and we also in English dub, and we also had the Italian subtitles on to kind of see the difference, and you could tell by God. And this part's not Arrow's fault in this instance. The dub in this film is awful.
It's way, way different than the Italian.
And not only is it poorly done, what they are saying doesn't like come as close to resonating to what the original intent of the script was in Italian.
Yeah.
And that's what fucks things up for me too.
I definitely think that the Italian dialogue is much better than the English dub dialogue because the Italian actually it focuses more on like giving motivation and naming the characters who are like within the dialogue. Like sometimes there will be times where they leave out the character's name in the English dub, but in the Italian subtitles you see that they were referring directly to someone. And I think it's really important. It changes the context of the dialogue when they're within the English dub. I don't think they did a very good job with that English dub, making sure that they translated the meaning of what the Italian was saying, because it does change the context of the film quite a bit,
especially the ending
when it's lacking what is in the Italian dialogue.
The ending is totally botched because of that. Because the ending, we'll talk about the ending now.
Yeah, go ahead. Yeah,
and if you didn't hear from the intro, it's what a twist.
Yeah.
Not just one, you get two for your money in this one.
That's right, exactly. You do, yeah.
So we think Alan snapped at the end, and they've drugged him to be taken off the asylum.
Which I want to say before we go into the actual conclusion, I do really like that ending where they fake Evelyn actually literally coming out of the grave. I think that's a really cool part of this film, where there's sort of that combines that supernatural aspect. Like maybe there's a zombie or something. Like maybe Evelyn's really actually undead.
That's where it's showing itself that it's not actually all the supernatural elements. They're bullshit.
Yeah. I think it's a really cool moment. Moody. I think and also blasphemous too. In a way, because they had to literally move Evelyn's dead body out of her tomb to do this charade.
And not only that, because before you get to the twist ending of knowing it, you could almost read that as what I originally read it as. She's trying to snap him out of it. So it's it's her taking like a drastic measure to try to push him.
Yeah.
To get him to kind of snap out of his neurosis. But what we find out is it's not that. As Alan's getting carted off to the asylum, Cousin Farley and her have been, and the whole time, that this was a big ruse after the meeting to break down his will. Now that he's in the asylum, of who's getting what. Farley finds out he'll be getting the inheritance and the money and the estate, and she'll be able to live off of it. They go together to a cottage off in London to celebrate their witty, charade. And then what we find out is when you get there, and it's not even subtle about it at all, when they go to celebrate by drinking champagne, and they clearly show you as she's kicking back the champagne, you see him right in the background, just like looking at it, and not even drinking it. I almost wish they were kind of more sly about that.
I think the intention behind that was that wasn't even supposed to be the twist in that part of the conclusion. You know what I mean? Like that he was drugging her was less of a twist than what happens after that, which is when they bring in Susie, who was the original prostitute who we think was killed at the beginning of the film and actually was not, was saved by Farley, who then took her under his wing to commit an even more, like, I guess, a double crossing with Gladys, so that they could have the money rather than him and Gladys. I think that, like you said, 2 twists, but I really think there's 3. Because there's that reveal that, it's been Farley and Gladys all along. But then at the cottage, there's the reveal that, nope, it's actually been Farley and Susie all along. And then after that, it's, nope, Alan's not dead, or Alan's not in a mental asylum. They faked that whole thing. And they did it just to trap Farley. Even though they probably shouldn't have, because they could have saved 2 women in the process. What a terrible. Not only that, like, how does Farley know from his plan of drugging Gladys and Susan being there that she would, like, find a knife that was lying around, stab and kill him, and so then he can walk away like, now you both get nothing, I get it all. That, I think, was a happy accident for him. Because even in the film, and I think, again, this is a translation issue, in the Italian dub, he says something like, "This is very funny. Now I get all of this," or something like that. In the English dub, he says something like, "Go on, stab her again." Yeah, "Go on, stab her again. This is great for me," or something like that. So I think it was a happy accident that actually occurred. I don't think he really meant... He may have been planning on killing Susie later, but I don't think he meant for them both to die in the same room. And that still doesn't explain, though. Why would he kill... well, no, I guess now that I think about it, it does. Why would he kill the aunt? Why would he kill Alberto? Well, he killed Albert, I think, because he was getting too close to knowing about the other situation. Like, he knew about the women that were coming to the castle, so he didn't want him to know about Susie being alive. So I think it maybe have been a cover-up sort of thing. It doesn't make any sense from the standpoint, because it's already been directly stated. He's the next inherited in line. So it's not like they were going to cut in, right, from him. So to me, makes no sense that... Yeah, I do think the motivations are a little weird. I think that some of the kills are in here just for that purpose, to kind of space out the dialogue-heavy moments with a murder and, give it a stylish twist. Like, really, was it necessary for Agatha to have to be fed to foxes? No, probably not, but it's kind of cool in its own little way that happened. I think that's probably where that comes in. But what we were talking about with the Italian dub, or the Italian subtitles, and watching the English dub, is that the big thing that changes in that final scene when Alan and Dr. Timberlane confront Farley about the whole scheme is that in the Italian version, we definitely know that it was Farley who was having an affair with Evelyn and also somehow caused her death. Whereas in the English... from what I read from a plot synopsis online, it's because he killed her, because she wouldn't leave him. In the English dub, that's not there at all. There is no explanation about Evelyn whatsoever. It's all it is we got you. We trapped you. Right. Yeah. Exactly. It was just the whole thing in the English dub is just that they knew that this was all a ruse by Farley and Gladys, and they were there to stop Farley. That's it. You get no explanation about Evelyn. You don't know anything about Evelyn's death besides what has been told to you previously, which is that she died because of childbirth. And the whole thing about them even figuring it out doesn't come through and make sense, just because
the whole dialogue is just like, it's like, oh, you're supposed to assume, like, oh, they, like, you know, oh, they figured out that it was all a ruse. There's nothing there that would, like, hint to them that would be a ruse.
Yeah. I think that, like, this film could have used a lot more padding at the end of the film rather than
the abrupt.
Yeah, there's definitely an abrupt ending to this film where they're carting Farley off and it ends. It is literally like a swelling of the soundtrack. They're carting him off and then whoop, that's it. The end. Have a good night. We'll see you later. Go on home. Think about it. Think about greed. I think that they could have absolutely added some more like plot and development to how they figured out that this was happening. I realize that they want to keep Alan's mental breakdown a secret, like that it didn't actually happen. They want to keep that a secret.
But it did though.
What?
But it did though. He is mentally unstable.
He is, but I think that he didn't actually have the mental breakdown in the bog like we saw. Like that was a scheme again that they made that up. I think that they wanted to keep that a secret, which I understand, but I do think that we needed something like how Dr. Timberlane figured out, like, oh, I think Gladys is up to something, or I think Farley's up to something. We don't really know why or how or what happened to make them figure that out, because whenever we see Farley interacting with Alan, he's like, good old chap.
It's another thing. Yeah, the dub is like stereotypical, like, well, chip fish and chips, chip, you know?
Yeah.
Especially Farley is just like, you say, old bean, you know?
Yeah.
Could have been the guy, you know, the brother from the fucking Mummy, you know, like, oh, you know, heavens, let's run away. Let's run away, Brendan Fraser.
Yeah. Yeah, I do think that it definitely requires a little bit more of that, but I do like that craziness, that finale, that kind of, it just lets everything loose, and it just kind of, like, you have the whole showdown between the two women. Great. I think it plays out.
You like his boob pops out.
That is funny. You gotta admit that's funny that Miraglia is like trying to work in pretty much at any time, like, when can I get a boob to fall out?
Alright, she's been stabbed a couple of times.
Yeah.
Like, all of a sudden, like, tit flopped out. Like,
yeah. That is absolutely, like, one of his motivations in here. Like, because pretty much there is a naked woman on screen almost the entire time. Gladys is almost constantly naked in some way. Like, she's wearing...
Her clothing makes no sense for England.
Yeah. She's wearing, like a like you said, a curtain around her, and that's basically it.
Just like, it's just like something draped over, like, her nipples, and then, like, her crotch, and it's like, oh, it's a nice balmy 40 out here in London.
Exactly.
What a wonderful day to be wearing nothing.
Constantly wearing like a wide cut shirt that goes all the way down to her belly button, cut open.
As you said, I'm gonna wear this robe, but I'm not even gonna, like, you know, do what a robe's for, like, tie it up and, like, no, I'm just naked robe and like, here's my boobs.
Exactly. I think Miraglia is working that in wherever possible. Lovely women throughout, obviously. But yeah, I like in that final scene, there is he was definitely trying to think of ways like, well, if she wears a shirt that's kind of like a button at the top of her neckline, then maybe they could probably pop open when she's trying to crawl away. Her tit flops out. There's blood on it, so there's that combination of sexuality and like death that horror movies love to see. But I do like that scene. I think it's a little overplayed because you have Gladys dying actively for like 5 minutes after she's had strychnine.
By the way, which makes no sense. Like, she's like drinking that champagne that's laced with it, and it's like, I have another.
Don't tell me you've never done that before. I'm feeling very shitty. Give me another one. Yeah.
But it makes no sense because it's just champagne. She just had like a little, you know, all of a sudden, like, I feel like I'm dying. I'll have another.
Yeah.
It's totally different when you're like 8 shots in. And you're like, I feel like I'm gonna throw up. Take another. To make sure it comes up.
Yeah, that scene is a little overplayed with the strychnine, and the multiple stabbings and things like that. And this film is really one of those that emphasizes like active dying and the and like the grabbing at the throat and
again Albert
lengthy
when he gets
death
nipped
scenes.
in the neck by the snake. He's sitting there for 2 minutes, retching and clutching and just
yeah.
And how's the gravedigger when Farley, which we don't know at the time, throws him in the grave and starts shoveling dirt on the poor bat. He's sitting there moaning. The grave digger walks by to grab a shovel. You don't even hear the guy moaning and shit. He just walks back away and then and Farley goes back to scooping some more dirt on him, and and he starts. I find it comical.
It is comical. There's many comical scenes.
The nut shot.
Yeah, the nut shot when.
You ever notice how in a movie when a bad guy's about to get caught, there's always something nearby they can grab and just jab.
This was a giant
stick that was just
timber. Piece of timber that's laying around that he can shove into Dr. Timberlane's dick.
I get it. That's a good one.
Yeah.
Timber and his timber.
And there's also that scene where I'm forgetting who it was now. I lost it. But there's that scene that when Gladys is stabbing Susie, and it looks like she stabs her right in the vagina.
Yeah, that's what I said.
That's a brutal scene. Apparently, it was in the leg and the thigh area, but it definitely looks like
she just went
right in the twat area.
Yeah, they saw Solange we gotta do that. Yeah, even though this came out before, right? Was it Solange 74?
Yeah, I think it was probably before. This one was before. But yeah, so there are definitely some funny scenes in it. One thing that we haven't talked about that I did want to talk about real quick is the soundtrack, which it certainly is of the time. There's a lot of that sort of porno-esque fuzzy guitar.
I love the one scene just at the random bar, strip club.
Yeah,
coming out of the coffin. Who goes to? Maybe I'm just.
I would go to that.
I know you would. You oh yeah, she's gonna come out of a coffin, stripping.
Blow out 2 candelabras.
Yeah,
I love it. Sexy.
But they got a band playing, and it's oh my god, this is so 70s.
They're playing a 70s
funk song,
womp, 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 womp.
heavy on the fuzz guitar and band boom, 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 boom,
yeah, it's awesome. But I do like the rest of the soundtrack because. I don't know if you noticed, but a lot of times it's a little bit noisy, a little emphasizing the sound effects, a lot of atonal noise. I do like the kind of, I don't know, it's a little goofy, but the angelic, Evelyn's theme.
No, I don't think it's goofy. I think it's, like I said, that to me is very
70s, this style.
Well, very Italian, very Italian flashback.
Yeah,
But they always have to have again. It's not just Ducky Sucker. If you think Once Upon a Time in the West, and they do little flashback scenes.
Yeah.
If it's not harmonica, who's having his harmonica theme playing for his sad, it's the
yeah.
It's just something I've accepted to be part of.
It is, yeah. You just have to accept it, and you either it or you don't.
You gotta have the dichotomy.
That's right.
Italian films love their contrast.
They do.
It's gotta be.
That's why there's a heavy dose of red. Again, this film has a lot of red.
Yeah, a lot of vibrant colors. Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
Frickin' Alan's wardrobe looks like spring catalog out of J.C. Penney, 1971. Fucking, he's a preening peacock in this with his bright crimson pea coats and pants and robin eggs blue blazer and button up. Good Lord.
I wish I had that wardrobe.
You could. You very well could.
All right, so out of 10 strychnine-laced champagne glasses, what would you give The Night Evelyn Came Out of the Grave?
Probably 6.
6 out of 10?
6 out of 10. I did think it was entertaining. Even though I thought it was kind of poorly paced, it wasn't a bore to watch. I think the main problem with the film is just there's too much going on with not enough real explanation, or not just so much explanation, but hints that, or evidence and clues that, again, it's not, films like this, they don't need to lead you to the answer. But there's got to be things there, if you don't get to the answer, that it'll make sense at the end. Because if it doesn't at the end, then the film's basically throwing you a fuck you. Because it's like, you watch this, but you're not really understand what's going on because we don't really have anything to give you.
Yeah.
I think overall, the acting in this film, even in the English dub and just kind of watching the mannerisms, it's bad. No one's really good in this film at all.
Yeah, it's not really that. Yeah.
It's not well. And the English dub just makes it worse. But I will say, I think the concept is intriguing. I think mainly if they just hammered out the story better, got it to focus on certain beats better and certain points better, it would be a much better overall film. That I think would even save its pacing issues if it just had more things to go off of than just some things happen and some things are just there because we just want it there. And that ending is kind of annoying. Just we found out it's a trick. Yeah, we're gonna dump you in the fucking pool, and then we're gonna dump fertilizer in there, and you're gonna come crawling out yelling, "I'm burning, I'm burning!" Then get carried off, and it's end.
Yeah, that is a very abrupt ending.
It's
even for a giallo film like this.
It's just okay.
Yeah, it is.
But yeah, I'd probably say 6. I don't think the soundtrack anything really sticks out to me. I will say at times it's kind of all over the place.
Yeah.
In a Death Wish 2 sense, but I don't think it's overbearing. Even though it's all over the place, it does know when to hit those beats.
It has a reoccurring theme, like I said, Evelyn's theme is recurring.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. All right. I think I would give it an 8, and that's partially nostalgia. I really do enjoy a lot of the different things that are happening in this film. I think it's really crazy, and I'm kind of into that. I in some senses I wouldn't necessarily like how off the wall and over the top it is. Sometimes it doesn't stick to its theme very well. And it just kind of does its own thing for a lot of the plot. But I think it really comes together better in that third act. I'm not saying that it's perfect by far. I don't think that it does give you enough information to put together who the actual killers are, or even know the motivations behind why they're doing it. Besides that, they are pretty awful people because they have to be in order.
Well, there's no one likable in this film.
No, right? There's not really. They're kind of
everyone in this film is a literal scumbag.
Yeah, and I don't know if that's really. I think that's the intention. I don't really think you're really supposed to like many of these people. I think you're supposed to. Actually, I think you're supposed to like Farley for most of the time. You're supposed to be he's kind of a nice guy. He's not really in it for the money. He's not. He doesn't really care that he's not gonna be getting the castle right now. He's an okay dude. And then that's kind of dropped on you later on. And I think you're supposed to like Gladys a little bit too, because you're supposed to think that she's trying to figure out.
No, well, she's stupid too, because
she is. Yeah.
Because the guy says, "I want to marry you," and she's like, "Why?" And he's like, "So I can bed you." So they fuck, and then he's like, "No, I want to marry you."
Yeah.
And she's like, "Oh, I thought you were kidding."
That's true.
And then she's like, "Why don't we have coffee?" And then what she ended up doing? She ends up fucking marrying him anyway.
Well,
the sympathy kind of goes out the window
because it's like you got to be marrying him for money.
That's a Vegas shotgun wedding.
Yeah,
and you're not drunk. You signed up for this.
That's true.
And so when the doctors, you're like, man, a lot of crazy things are going on. This portrait's kind of creepy, and who is Evelyn? And you know, it's hard to sympathize just because it's, especially now at the end when it's like, oh, she was in on it too. But it's like, so that's probably why she did. That's why she probably married him, because she was in on the plot all along. But even if she wasn't in on it. Like, if you find out at the end she wasn't even in on the whole scheme to do this. It was all just Farley's doing. She's still, like, an idiot. Yeah. She's still, like, an unlikable just because she's, like... It's not like she's unlikable because she fucked Alan. It's unlikable because she's like, okay, I'll marry you.
Yeah.
Yeah. Ooh.
Yeah. It's obviously for money. That's
just, stupid. That's the same kind of stupidity from, like, Solange, where after... The wife finds out that, he was fucking one of his students, but after he gets, she's pissed off about it, but after she gets attacked, she's like, oh, okay.
Actually, it's fine.
Yeah, no, it's okay. Yeah. No.
I want to make this work.
Yeah. No, it's like, oh, that's so stupid.
That's true. It is the same. But even so, I think that it does come together better in the end. I like a few of those scenes. I think it's really moody. It's really atmospheric, and I do like that. Overall, I just think that it can be fun if you watch it in the right mindset. Or it could also be really slow depending on how how you want to take that. But I think look for that craziness that's happening, and you may not even recognize it at the time when you're watching it. You may not even see, like, it's kind of weird. Not everything pops out to you as being weird right all at once. Like, I mean, I don't know how much you would notice that all the maids look the same. I mean, you do. You notice in a way, but I think, like, if you're not totally thinking about it, you're not like...
they point that out, though.
They do a little bit. Like, they just say that they're all blonde. But I think it's, like, it's just a weird detail that when you dwell on, you're like, it's a weird, it's a weird thing that occurs. I just kind of like those details in The Night Evelyn Came Out of the Grave. I know it's not for everyone. It's definitely not going to be... And it's not something that I would recommend to, like, everyone. Like, so if I was to meet someone at a party and like, oh, you like horror movies too? Oh, The Night Evelyn Came Out of the Grave would be for you. It's probably not something that I would come out, like, right away and be like, I just met you. I'm going to offer this film as the first thing that I'm recommending you watch. No, but I think that for people who are really interested in, like, horror cinema and especially the giallo films, this is a lesser known film that I would certainly give to people who like that sort of style, especially even though that it's definitely not perfect, but in its own way, it's a fun little excursion from the normal giallo or the normal Gothic, because when you think about it, like, Hammer horror films are absolutely not perfect. A lot of them are very slow, just like Night Evelyn Came Out.
Well, no, I know, because I love Hammer horror films.
Yeah.
One, simply for the fact, like, with the Dracula series, you get Peter Cushing and fucking Christopher Lee.
Right.
But you're right, because, like, the first one, like, Hammer horror film and Dracula, you can be like, well, Jesus, because that's an abrupt ending.
Yeah.
Where you have, Cushing beats Christopher Lee, and then it's like, and it's just, done. Yeah. I get that, but
you're definitely going to view them in a different way than you would, like, a film now. There's just not that same style at all. So it's a little bit different.
Like if Guardians of the Galaxy 2 came out and just, like, ends with, like, just like, well, we beat, so and so, and it's like,
and then just
end.
Credits on top of the picture. Yeah.
Or, like, if at the end of Batman v Superman wasn't like at Superman's funeral. It was just like, well, Superman's dead. And we beat Doomsday. Roll credits.
Yeah, and that's it. No, yeah, it's definitely a different era of film, different style of filmmaking. I will say I'm really interested. I do have it, but I've never seen it. I do want to watch Miraglia's other film, The Red Queen Kills Seven.
We'll do that next week, then.
You want to do that?
Yeah.
All right. Let's do that, and we might as well make a...
We are a giallo podcast, or it's supposed to be inspired.
That's right. Yeah, we'll do that next time.
The same. It's mainly my suggestions that lead us off the beaten path with things like...
Yeah.
cats and dogs. And
that's the second part of the Killer Dames collection that Arrow released. So we'll watch that next time, and we'll kind of like compare and contrast and see how that's different. That was a year after the night Evelyn came out of the grave, so it'd be interesting to see how that changes. It was also rated PG at the time, so I don't know. Like that again was a different time where there was no like PG-13 either. It was you get a PG or you get an R.
Well, you can thank Spielberg for that one.
Yeah,
PG-13.
Yeah,
because of Temple of Doom.
Yeah, right, exactly. That was when it was introduced. But like,
you ever see the movie, the documentary? This film's not yet rated.
No,
you should watch it. It's great. It's about
interesting.
It's about like the ratings board and stuff, and they got like filmmakers on there saying like it's a bunch of bullshit. Like they got Kevin Smith on there talking about like how he'd have to go back and recut like his film because they'd be like, "Oh, we got an X rating for this," but he's like, "How come this fucking film got this rating?" Or I think it might still be on Netflix.
Interesting.
Should watch
check it out.
It's really good.
Yeah. All right, so next week we're gonna do The Red Queen Kills 7 Times. We didn't really have a film for next week because we do know that the week after we'll be covering Ghost in the Shell, the new live action film with Scarlett Johansson where she's practically naked, and I'm excited for that. But we'll be covering that the week after next, so stay tuned for that.
I'm actually pretty excited. I'm getting excited for it.
Yeah, well, I do want to see it.
As a fan of the franchise, I think this film's going to be bad, but at the same time, from watching the trailers, it's gotten me on the hype train just because it's like, even if it is, which from the looks of it, it does almost look like it's going to be a shot-for-shot remake of the original, except with probably 40, because as we reviewed on the podcast, the original anime is only 80 minutes long.
Yeah.
So, no fucking film these days, especially if it's coming out as like an action film in Hollywood, it's going to be fucking 80 minutes long. It's going to be 2 hours plus. So I got a feeling it's going to be almost a shot-for-shot remake, but they're going to add like 40 minutes of like filler of like character development. That's probably going to borrow from
the manga
and the Ghost in the Shell
some of the other series, yeah.
And then twist it and Americanize it. It's only got a PG-13 rating, so they can't go too deep. Yeah. And not only that, God forbid they like dive into like, they're not gonna dive into like the philosophical aspect of like Ghost in the Shell. Like,
yeah, most likely not.
It's just like I said, it's not gonna be like, I'm not actually a human. I'm a robot designed cyborg, but I have I can think and stuff. Does that mean I have a consciousness? Am I real life? No, it's just probably gonna end up being like, oh, I'm an android. I mean, a human that's got attachment. I mean, not an android. I mix them up. Cyborg. She's a cyborg, not an android. Whatever. Beside the point.
Yeah.
I think you can follow where I'm going on that little thought thread, but
yeah, I mean, it'll be interesting to see. So I think we're planning on doing that in 2 weeks. And we'll do The Red Queen Kills 7 Times next week. And then after that, I have no idea. It's a mystery.
Maybe we'll do another video game.
Yeah, who knows? Maybe we will. Maybe we'll do The Witcher 3. I'm not far enough. I still don't feel like I'm far enough into that to even do it.
No, you gotta beat it.
I'm not even close. So.
I know. You gotta beat it before.
I'm just marching around doing Gwen.
What's wrong with Gwen?
Nothing, except when it's all luck based.
It's not luck based. It's skill based.
No, it's not.
You got to build your deck. You can't just have like 30 cards in your deck. Can't build it all willy nilly. The key is you got to get it down to like the smallest number deck that you can.
No, I know. I totally understand. But when you don't get a spy card, you don't get a spy card. Wow. And then the other guy gets 6 spy cards, and what the fuck? But yeah, so we'll be figuring out what we're doing in the coming weeks on the next episodes. So stick with us. Thanks for listening to this one. Now for some administration stuff. You can check us out on our Facebook page. It's facebook.com/Blood and Black Rum Podcast. Like us on there. We do post updates occasionally, especially with our new episodes. You can find us on iTunes, which is probably where you're listening right now. Just search for us there, Blood and Black Rum Podcast. All of our episodes are up there. We really appreciate it if you would subscribe and give us a nice review. That really helps us out to get new listeners. We're also on Stitcher, SoundCloud, pretty much anything else that you can listen to podcasts on, we're on it. So if you can leave us a review, please do so. We really appreciate it. We're on Twitter at Blood and Black Rum, and I do post on there quite a bit. So if you would help us out with any retweets or anything like that, we really appreciate it. And we're on Patreon as well, which you can subscribe to, and also send us some money to help us with our expenses for the podcast. This is a monthly based subscription, so you would pay whatever you plan to donate every month, and we do have a number of different things that we offer for your donation, so check that out. And if you can help us out, we really do appreciate it. It'll help us keep us running and help us with our podcast fees. And we don't make any money with this right now, so anything helps. And so we appreciate that. You can email us at bloodandblackrumpodcast@gmail.com. We accept any sort of film recommendations. You can let us know what you want us to cover on the next episodes, and we'll try to get to it when we get our time in. We don't have anything planned. We'll try to incorporate those movies into the episodes. So let us know. Contact us. Tell us what you like about the podcast, what you don't like. And whatever you don't like, we're just going to ignore. So, all right. So catch us next week. Normally airs on Thursdays. We're going to be covering The Red Queen Kills 7 Times. So it's going to be another similar film as The Night Evelyn Came Out of the Grave. So if you like this one, come back next week for that. Thanks for listening. Have a good week.